Hey, dear Tyler. Good morning, and how are you doing? I trust you're good, and I hope you're fine. So this episode, I'm doing it from work. So I had a very busy weekend. A lot happened to me during the week, last week, and then into the weekend, and I was not just able to curate a proper episode for us. Right, so just got into work and I was like, okay, let me do the episode now, and just share thoughts and contemplations in my heart. So this week is Dear Tyla birthday week. On Sunday, Dear Tyla is going to be 4 years old. Yes, 4 years old. Let me treat it like a baby, a babe that she is. Dear Tyla, it's going to be 4 years in just a few days. This coming Sunday, right, 29th. And I'm a bit, overwhelmed in a good sense, in the sense that God has really been faithful. God has really been faithful. I remember when I first started it out, I had my anxieties here and there, and then along the line, I just said, okay, let me just do it and see how it goes. And I remember the first episode that I posted, a lot of people, were celebrating it. I think I started a podcast. Oh my God, I enjoyed this podcast. So following. And so, I kind of thought that would be the trajectory of the whole podcast, from there onward. I think I had 100 plus listens within the first few days. I was like, oh my God, this podcast thing is amazing. It's so sweet. And then all of a sudden, it just started going downwards. And I remember the struggles that I had. There were times where I was so pumped up to do episodes. I would show up, do episodes back to back, feeling myself. And then there were days that I would struggle to come up or curate anything. I'll just wake up, I'll just think of Dear Tyla, and I'm like, oh, I'll just stop. There were months that I was consistent, doing, I think, maybe 2 episodes a week, sometimes 3 if I was in the mood and happy. And then there would be times where in 2 months I'm not recorded. And strategically, God would just send people my way within those periods to remind me of certain things. And I'm just seated in the car here, just reminiscing on everything Dear Tyla. And I decided to ask ChatGPT, do you know Dear Tyla and everything? And then it brought out something that touched me. So ChatGPT does know Dear Tyla, And this is what it says. Oh yes, Dear Tyla is a faith-based weekly podcast hosted by Tyla, which is particularly wrong though. So you are Tyla, I'm not Tyla, but based on what he believes, Tyla, a persona representing the listener, right? That dives into Christian living, spiritual growth, everyday life issues, and even music moments. So there was a time that there's a particular episode that I'd done where I shared some of my songs, but then they had to bring it down. Said if I want to do songs like that, I'll have to put them directly on Spotify. So I can't remember the title. They brought it down and all, but yeah, so I think we'll have to change that. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. So the genre of the podcast is Christianity, Society, and Culture. Beautiful. Episodes around 195 plus since June 2021. When I saw it, I was like, my goodness. Over over 195 plus. So I'm getting to about 200 episodes now of Dear Tyla. So there are 52 weeks in a year, right? 52 weeks in a year. And if I consistently produced episodes once every week for 4 years, I would have done 208 episodes. So it means that somehow, with my inconsistencies, I've been able to produce an episode every week for 4 years. I looked at it and I was like, nah, Binga, you've tried, curating content, coming up with ideas. There's certain times where I may repeat, one or two ideas and all, but then present it in a different way. Speaking for 25, 30 plus minutes, right? So, consistently every episode. Now that's really, really wild. So let's do a little calculation. Let's say the average episode for Dear Tyla, let's say it's 22 minutes, right? The average episode is 22 minutes. So 22 minutes times, let's say, 200 episodes. That's 4,400 minutes, right? 4,400 minutes divided by 60 would tell you how many hours of content. So I've curated 73 hours of content. And for me, I used to feel, very down about Dear Tyla many times because I really, really wanted to go far. One, for it to bless lives, but two, it makes me feel good, and I won't lie about it. There's just this consolation for your efforts. It's like people are following, it's making impact on a large scale, that is, and then not just making impact on a large scale, but then also having the rewards for it. Let me bring you guys into a bit of my fantasies when it comes to Dear Tyla. I imagine the days when I'll come on Dear Tyla and I have to kind of announce a sponsorship first. This episode of Dear Tyla is sponsored by World Bank, or it's sponsored by UNICEF, or it's sponsored by the United Nations, or it's sponsored by so place, right? Or it's sponsored by this particular brand, it's sponsored by Nike, it's sponsored by, let's say, the telecom, sponsored by Vodafone, sponsored by Sprint or Spirit or something, sponsored by Qatar Airways, and to get a discount on your air tickets, put in the promo code #Dear Tyla, and I envision the days when I'm like, okay, so we'll be having a live Dear Tyla conference somewhere here, all of that. And to be honest, I always thought that it would happen maybe after a few weeks or so, at least the sponsorship thing. Or somebody just be like, oh my God, God sent me to Dear Tyla to do this, and it did happen, but it didn't happen on the scale that I had anticipated, and to be very honest, it did discourage me. I remember there was a period in time where there was a particular person that always sent money for data. Dear Tyla, I always sent money for data. I had friends that would make sure that other people in their communities listen to Dear Tyla, I did not get the sponsorship in quote, but then I did have the leverage of people, so they were sharing the content and all. So, those are some of my fantasies, seeing people wearing Dear Tyla branded with wristbands or Dear Tyla branded shirts and umbrellas, hoodies, all of those things that maybe you just go into a particular place and everybody's like, oh my God, Dear Tyla, Dear Tyla. The fandom. That fandom thing. And yeah, I anticipate it, but it's not here yet. It's not here yet. And it's, because of those expectations, there were times where I really just felt discouraged. I was like, when will these days come? When will it show, that what I'm doing is really impactful? And God in His infinite mercies has just kept on reminding me of the value of Dear Tyla. Remember the story I told you, of a lady that met me after service, now my friend, and, an exceptional encouragement. And then different people that have shown up over time, literally carrying Dear Tyla on their head. And it's not just about them carrying Dear Tyla, speaking or saying the nice words, but it's about the personal encouragement that they've brought to my life. It's very, very timely. It's very, very timely. One of the toughest things is to find support. But I can promise you, it's better to find support from people that believe in what you're doing and not just supporting you out of solidarity. So, let me put it in this context. I can support a particular individual because I know the person, right? Because the person matters to me, and I value their friendship, or they value my friendship, or however it is, right? And it's something that I want to maintain. The friendship is something I want to maintain, but not necessarily because I actually, are being blessed by what they're doing or believe in what they're doing, right? And what happens is, when you find people that support you for the sole purpose of solidarity, the effect is not necessarily felt. It's seen, their support is seen, but the effect is not felt, right? But then when you find people that support you because they believe not just in you, but in what you're doing, it translates to proper impact, because they begin to use the things that you're doing to fashion their lives. And so it's not just that, I'm supporting you, I believe in you and all of that. No, but then it also translates into making sure that you become a better version of yourself. They begin to give you reasons why you should become a better version of yourself. So these people, I'll just try my best not to mention names and all, but there are people that have come into my life recently that have made Dear Tyla such a big deal, and I'm so grateful to them. But more importantly, they have made me a big deal. Sometimes they tell me, I remember going to service, I think it was last week or so, and one of my friends in the security department stops me and is like, Binga, your episodes are very good, but there was this particular episode where you had a lot of filler words. You're doing a lot of I think, all of those things. And he told me, he said that you're growing, you're coming up on a larger scale, so work on it so that the message is not tainted by that lack of competence, or that clarity rather. And I felt, exceptionally blessed by it, because this is not just someone that listens and then comes over to pamper my ego, like, oh my God, Binga, you're doing so great, I celebrate you, no. But it's being particular about my own personal growth too. Now that's an asset that you cannot, you should not just trade or take casually. It's not something you should just take casually. God in His infinite mercies brought that person to me, and then having people that come up and they're like giving up quotes from Dear Tyla, it shows that they're listening, they're following, and they use it to shape their lives. It's a beautiful experience. I won't make less of it. And I'm grateful to those people. Now, why I'm sharing this episode, why I'm sharing this in this episode, right, is because I want to encourage someone who has started off in a particular thing and probably you've not gotten the response that you've so desired, that end goal, that end game. You've not seen it pan out. I'm encouraging you to just stay faithful and, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I was looking at the metrics of Dear Tyla recently and we're doing good numbers, not yet in the hundreds, do you understand, but not even in the 50s, daily or something like that. But it's consistent in a way. Now, consistent in the sense that somebody listens to Dear Tyla every day. It's been a while that I've checked the metrics that somebody didn't listen to Dear Tyla that particular day. And there may be periods where, like it even includes periods where I did not post an episode for weeks and people were still listening. It means one way or the other they were being blessed. One way or the other they were actually being blessed by it. You see, those little seeds that you're sowing, Tyla, right, that nobody notices, it's a succor to someone. Those little seeds, right, are a succor to somebody. Now let me give you an instance of how valuable your growth is. When you look at a plant, right, maybe you plant a particular seed, right, for the most part, that initial beginning, nothing is really seen, nothing really happens, right, nothing really changes. It looks very insignificant. But then, after a while, a little stalk or stem breaks out of the ground. Still seems a little bit, inconsequential. And then a blade, just a leaf blade, comes out. And everybody's like, it's just a leaf blade. But that leaf blade is a shade for a particular insect. It may not benefit a larger species, but there is a species that is benefiting from that little blade. And then that blade begins to grow, the stem begins to grow, begins to build up capacity, stretch itself. And then the more it stays, the more it keeps on improving, the more it keeps on growing, the more it is able to, benefit even larger species. So that little plant becomes a tree that houses birds, houses other insects, and produces fruits for other people, right? But then if that particular plant looked at its life as invaluable because it was small and only serving a small species, right, it would lose out on the potential of becoming big. And that's how it is for a lot of us, right? We're serving an audience. The audience may not be that large scale at that time, but serve them with honor. Serve them with your consistency. Show up and do all that you need to do. Become a better version of yourself. Improve in anticipation for the things that are yet to come. But then do not allow it stop you from... Do not allow your lack of skill at that time, right, stop you from sharing your gift as much as you can. Grow in it, become a better version of yourself, do all of that, right? But then at the space where you are, right, be as committed and as consistent as you can be. Who would have ever thought that would have done 200 plus episodes? Now I'm just thinking about it, thinking out loud, that had it been being a little bit more consistent and doing 2 episodes every week for 4 years, I would have literally done about 416 episodes by now. literally done 416 episodes by now. Okay, doing about 208, it's great, right? But I just see what could have been if I'd been more consistent, right? And definitely my skill would have improved, you know. Something that Apostle was teaching us, I think a few weeks back, 2 weeks back or so, 2 Sundays back rather, saying that you grow by use. So the more that you use a particular gift, the more it becomes refined. The more refined it becomes rather. So if you notice that not using so many filler words like I used to before, it's because that conscious effort, as I'm speaking, I'm remembering exactly what my friend shared with me, and I know that it's going to make every episode a lot better, right? So my thoughts are a lot more coordinated. I'm thinking before speaking, and so I'm not in a rush to say a lot of things in that sense. But I really hope that this particular episode encourages you to just keep on doing it, to keep on doing what you're doing, right? After some time, you'd realize how much you've actually invested. And I thank God for the message that Apostle preached yesterday, the grace for visibility. While he was just preaching it, I was on the stage and tears were just in my eyes because it's been a prayer for me. I used to think the desire for visibility was a selfish desire, but I found out yesterday that it's selfish when your motive is for self-gratification. You want to be the talk of the town and everything. And so there were certain things about my motives that I had to realign to God yesterday in repentance. But I also came to realize that desiring to be known, desiring to be seen, desiring to be valued is not a bad thing. So as you anticipate that visibility, keep on growing, keep on becoming a better version of yourself, gain knowledge, grow, improve, become more dexterous in your gift, become more dexterous in your ability. Get to the point that on a global stage, you will have no cause for alarm. You will not, be anxious, or you won't have an embarrassing moment. Yes, the stage may come with its own little intimidation factor, but at the end of the day, you have built up so much capacity that even under tension, you can deliver. Right? Even with that anxiety, you can deliver. So it's the same thing that I'm doing for my life right now. I'm just thinking about it, on a larger scale, and I'm like, okay, what are the things that I need to do to improve Dear Tyla? It takes a lot of mental work. But what are the things that I need to do to improve Dear Tyla? What are the things that I need to do to improve my communication, to become a better host, communicate my ideas in a more elaborate way? Can I tell more compelling stories? Can I fashion my thoughts in a more compelling way? So all of these things, they all are goals for me within this period. There's another episode that I'm going to talk about the need for you to push yourself out, right? I'm going to talk about that, but then sometimes it doesn't help, just sitting down and hoping people will find out about what you do. You've got to be a little bit more deliberate about the things that you do, the things that you share, and be like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing. No business grows without some form of advertisement. No enterprise will grow without some form of advertisement. No gift will be seen without some form of advertisement. You've got to put yourself out there, right? And so don't just put yourself in that little corner and expect some people to dig you out. You've got to really be intentional about showcasing what God has given you and what God has blessed you with, right? So I didn't even know that this episode would be this long, but God is faithful, and I'm excited about what God is going to do with Dear Tyla in the coming years and how He's building me as a person, right? And I just really encourage you, Tyla, today. Whatever it is that you're doing, right, just keep on doing it. Improve, and let people know, this is what you're doing. Improve, become a better version of yourself, and ask the Lord to help you recognize the support systems that He has brought. Do not despise the people that are showing up for you. Do not despise the people that are showing you some level of commitment and support, right? They are your pillars, right? And keep on showing up for them, right? So yeah, I really hope this episode blessed you. I don't know when this is going to come out because I'm at work, so I still have to go home and do one or two things on it. But once I get home, I will definitely just do the little tidying up that needs to be done on it, and then I'll post it. And hopefully, sometime within the week, I'll do another episode. So we'll probably get like 3 episodes this week to compensate for last week that we had only 1, right? So yeah, so please remember to share everything about Dear Tyla. Follow us on our social media handles, right? And God will bless you. Thank you, Tyla. So this is me signing out. Remember that I love you, I believe in you, and I'm always, always rooting for you.